I remember when Emic first came out, people were like, this guy can't one key. This guy is trash. These clan boss teams are useless. And now I put out clan boss teams and everybody's like, well, can I full auto one key? If I can't do that, what's the point? I think there's a big point if you can't, because you still have to get to that level. But you know what? Forget it. We're going to put together a team. We're going to do that Emic Maneater team. It's a simple team. One of the easiest clan boss teams you can build. I'm going to freaking one key with it, guys. I'm not going to use any of the meta champions. Yeah, some legendaries. Nothing crazy. We're going to one key this thing. We're going to do it right now. Welcome. I'm the DeadwoodJedi. This is the Raid Shadow Legends video. And yeah, we're going to one key Clan Boss Ultra Nightmare full auto. You guys can click the button and don't ever have to worry about it again. We're going to do it with this Maneater, what's it called? Maneater Heart team, right? The Heart Eater team. That's the one, right? It's the Emic Trunkheart team with Maneater. That's the one. I can't remember the name. I don't know why. It's on the website. I got it there. If you guys are interested in this team, make sure to go check it out. I'll have it linked down below. But that's going to be the team, the Heart Eater team, which is, I think, one of the simplest teams to build. You get Heart Eater, you get Maneater, or you get Emic, you get Maneater, and it's easy, right? 3 DPS champions, all going at a 1-1 ratio. It all comes down to how you're building your team. That's it. The optimize the gear, how you build your team. So, like, obviously, look, I know this is kind of a meme in a certain way. Yeah, I'm using OP gear. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we're on my test server right now, so I don't have to, like, I can basically use whatever I want. It's a well-built team. Not everybody's gonna be able to do this. But I think one of the important things to remember is a team can be amazing even if you can't one key it, because it allows you to grow with your account, right? So, you might not have the speeds to do one of these crazy 2-1 ratio teams, which is a big part of the reason why I like to share these comps for everybody out there that's still struggling to get to those levels, right? But if you're kind of on the cusp, maybe you build this team because you go, I may not one key full auto right now. I may not be able to click that button, but what I can do is I can develop it over time. I can grow with this team over time. As I get better gear, I can put it on these champions. As I get better champions, I can put them in this team. And I think that's a lot of fun. And I think to me, that's the most fun part about this game is all of a sudden like, oh, I'm struggling to do this one part, but I'm going to keep working on it and get better and get better and get better. Oh, I pulled that champion. He's going to be perfect for this. I'll toss him in and all of a sudden now I can hit another level, right? The instant one key thing is so awesome, but it does take away a little bit of that. And if that becomes the only thing you care about, well, time to move on. Maybe not to another game, but maybe to a different area of the game. And I get that, right? But for me, building these teams and trying to find that next little step is so much fun. And that's why I want to kind of show off this team. It's one of the best and easiest teams that you can build because it's going to work for all difficulties. It's going to work for all affinities, and it doesn't take much to change stuff up, and like I said, on Ultra Nightmare, it is full auto, which is pretty awesome. The other great part is you got Emic in there cooling down your champion. So I get to bring in a fun champion, a couple of fun champions I don't often get to use for clan boss because their cooldowns are just a little bit too long, right? They just don't bring quite enough. And so let's look at the team and I can show you exactly who I'm bringing and why it's so awesome I get to use them for this team. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one. All right, so if we look at our team here, we've got Narma, one of my favorite champions. And what's so great about Narma is that she brings a ton of poisons, and she can hit pretty decently hard. And then her A1 has a chance to increase the duration of three debuffs on the target. That might be poisons, it might not be, but the fact that she gets to do that on every A1 is really great. And she places 3 of them with poison sensitivity. Why does she suck? Why don't we usually use her? Well, real reason, the 4-turn cooldown. It's just really 1 turn too long to make her really viable for a lot of teams. I mean, we're only getting 3 poisons and poison sensitivity debuff. We're only getting a 50-50 shot of extending 3 debuffs as well. It's like just not enough going on to justify that cooldown, especially for a legendary champion. So really, there's a lot of epics I prefer over her, quite frankly. I'd rather have Aothar on this particular team. I think would be a better choice than Narma. But Narma becomes really good here because of Emic's cooldown. Because he's going to cool everybody's cooldowns down by 1, that 4-turn cooldown is going to be a 3-turn cooldown. That means we're going to put up those poisons every single time through, which is awesome. Every cycle the clan boss does with their attacks, we're going to get those poisons and we're going to have chances to extend them. And I think that's going to be really good for us. Now, she does have another attack, right, where she does a heal and a decreased attack. I don't need that debuff. I know I think it hits decently hard, but I don't think hard enough to justify actually having it out there. I'd rather have additional chances to extend the duration of the poisons that we already have on the boss. So we're going to turn that off. The other champion I'm super excited to bring in is Kreela Witcharm. And Kreela is phenomenal as a champion, right? But again, 4-turn cooldowns on these skills make her less ideal. Now, this is one of the best ones. Increase attack, increase crit rate buff on all allies for 3 turns, and then attacks all enemies. I mean, 3-turn length on those buffs, that's pretty intense. What's great about this, it's going to get cooled down. So that means not only is this going to happen every 3 turns, but it's going to stay on for 3 turns, which means everybody's going to have permanent increased crit rate and increased attack, which is pretty fantastic. That means I've built everybody with 70% crit rate or thereabouts. That means I get to really jump up the damage. I haven't built a team with this much damage and crit damage in a very long time, because we don't have to have that full 100% crit rate. I can focus those stats in other areas, and it makes it really nice. Not to mention, all my DPS champions are like the 170, so I don't even have to put speed on them. It's really, really great. And then the last champion I'm going to bring in is Ragnar, and Ragnar's fantastic as a champion. Oh yeah, Kreela also has an ally attack ability. That's pretty good too. That's pretty nice. But I'm also going to bring in Ragnar. And now Ragnar, maybe not an ideal champion for this, but I love Ragnar. Ragnar hits so hard. Now, part of that is that he gives himself an increased attack buff, right? With Kreela on the team, that's not as useful as it normally would be. Still, hits incredibly hard, but more importantly, brings the things that we need. Decrease defense and weaken, right? Those are the debuffs we need. Also has a leech on this A1, and I don't know if I've said this enough, but there's a mastery in the defensive tree called Retribution, and every time you lose, I think it's 25% of your HP or 20% of your HP, you have a 50-50 shot of getting a free counterattack. It's a massive buff, massive mastery to have for anybody running in an unkillable team. Why is it so great? Well, an unkillable team means you won't die, but you still take damage, right? And so as long as you're healing up enough to take that damage, it can be incredibly powerful. And with the leech debuff out there, that means everybody's going to have the opportunity to fully heal up. So every time the clan boss attacks, we're going to all have a 50-50 shot of getting free counterattacks. That can be a massive damage boost for your team. And so that's why we got Ragnar in this team. You know, now his Gleam of Avarice skill, this is a 4-turn cooldown. This will be reduced to a 3-turn cooldown. He also has this Dire Grudge thing, which decreases the cooldown of this champion's Gleam of Avarice skill by 1 every time the champion loses 15% HP. That's a pretty good sign for us. Honestly, I probably should have Ragnar in the lead so he can take the stun and get that reduced even further. It's not a huge deal, but the idea is, you know, normally we're going to be, you know, taking hits with the unkillable ability, and he'll be able to cycle through that ability enough to keep those debuffs up, hopefully, for the full fight. Now, in practice, it probably won't be for the full fight. It won't be the full fight, but it will be fairly often, and hopefully often enough, especially if Narma can extend it occasionally, often enough to keep those debuffs on and get us to a really nice damage number. That's the goal here. And then, of course, we have Emic. We've got Maneater. They're kind of doing their things. I have built them really nicely to do a lot of damage, and we'll go over the kits once we get in the run. But yeah, everybody's built kind of to the nines to land their stuff. We do have Brimstone on Emic. We've got Cruelty on Kreela because I have a really nice blessing on her. And then we've got, obviously, Phantom Touch on Ragnar. So that's the squad. We're going to see how well this does. I'm excited. I think this team has a lot of potential to it. Like I said, we're going for that 1 key. So let's jump in. Like I said, full auto, baby. I click go, and that's all we got to do. And I sit back and get to watch. We get the unkillable from Emic. And then the next turn, we're going to get an unkillable from Maneater, also with the block debuff, so that we stay affinity friendly. Everybody else is just going on a 1-1 ratio. You'll see, we're going to keep all these buffs up pretty much for the full fight, because we're going to get that increased attack, increased crit rate. All of those are both coming from Kreela. They're going to stay on us for the full fight. We've got, you know, the unkillable are basically happening every single turn for us as well, just like that. It's an easy breezy kind of team. Now, we are going against Void here because we're on the test server. So that's why you see the poisons. When you face Affinity, the debuffs happen at a different point. In Void, it happens off the first AoE. When your face Affinity happens off the second AoE, where we will have block debuffs up, like you can see from Maneater. That's what makes us an Affinity-friendly team. Very, very simple to be able to do, guys. So it's a really nice team. You can see we have pretty full debuff bar as well, right? You know, it's going to kind of come and go a little bit as things progress, but we're going to basically have those poisons from Narma. They should stay up most of the time. We should have those major debuffs from Ragnar. Those should stay up most of the time, but it's not obviously perfect. And this is, like I said, it's not a perfect team. I'm not using meta champions for this. There's no Draco out here, no Ganute in here, right? But we have some really strong champions available to us, and I think we're going to get a really good result as a result. I got to work on that phrasing. Anyway, let's look at the champions, how I built them, then we'll come back at the end and see if we were able to do what we set out to do and get a 1 key on this team. All right, let's take a look at how I built these champions. It's a little bit much with some of them, right? Basically, I just maxed out as much damage as I could and try to keep everybody's crit rate about that 70% mark, so we benefit from Krila's buffs that she's putting on us. This is going to include, of course, Narma here. Narma is 178 speed, right? Everybody needs between 170 and 178 speed. We were able to do that. 256 crit damage is great. It doesn't mean everybody goes second. You know, we don't on the first turn is after Clan Boss goes on Ultra Nightmare, but that's really fine. Not, you know, big thing with her is the accuracy to make sure we land our debuffs. Try to build her attack up, but she's got a fairly low base. So 4,500, not a bad spot to be at, especially without any blessings. Then we also have Ragnar. Ragnar is a beast, 300 crit damage, 7,000 attack, you know, plenty of accuracy. So there you go. That's always an option there. Really, really nice champion, right? I love what he can bring for the table. We also have Krila. Obviously, the blessings are going to help a lot with the attack that she has. Same thing with Ragnar, really. But 6,400 attacks, 173 speed, 312 crit damage. Now, obviously, one of the big things that I didn't really factor in when building this is the speeds these champions are. It's going to affect the turn order. And if I was really fully optimizing it, I'd have Ragnar go first, right? So that we get the decreased defense and everybody else benefits from that. I'd have probably Narma go last to extend the duration of debuffs after those are placed by Ragnar, with Krila going in the middle to give us that increased crit rate and attack buffs along the way. Maybe even have Krila go last so that those buffs she puts on us will last through multiple turns of the clan boss. So even our counterattacks will have that buff on them. That's definitely a possibility. Maybe that would have been the best way to go. Things to think about as you go through this. But then who else do we have? We've got Emic here. And one of the things you'll notice with all these champions, same masteries, right? You're going defensive tree for Retribution and offensive tree for War Master. But Emic here, I have him, that 248 speed is kind of what we're looking for right there. And then, you know, again, big crit damage, low crit rate, and solid accuracy to land the Brimstone is the only reason why I have accuracy on him. Normally you wouldn't build him with that, but I wanted to try and land that if we could. And then very last is Maneater, 240 speed, 265 crit damage, almost 3,000 attack. Attack's a little bit low for him to really do crazy damage, but he did pretty good, I would say. Pretty good indeed. But both him and Emic putting up, you know, I think you'll see their numbers are going to be pretty similar. What did I say? What did I say? 1 key. 1 key it is. Now, I mean, obviously, I have some really good gear on this. You guys saw the gear. It's pretty insane on all these champions. But, I mean, still, it's 1 key damage, right? We're able to do that. And there's no crazy damage champions. Like I don't have a Chrissy in here. I don't have Newt. I don't have Draco on there. Like none of these are what I would call meta champions. Very good. Don't get me wrong. I like them all, but they're not like crazy meta, right? And I think that just goes to show that, yeah, it's very possible to do 1 key damage with some of the more simple teams too, right? They do scale up. And I think we should keep that in mind as we're building them. And for someone that's like, you know, because we all start at the point where we can't 1 key, we have to get there. It's a great starting spot to start with a team like this that can scale to that level. So as your gear and champions get better, you can just plug and play and get to the spot that you want to. So hopefully you guys found this enjoyable. You know, if you're trying to build this team, I definitely recommend it. I think it's one of the better teams out there. It makes those 4-turn cooldowns turn to 3-turn cooldowns, which really opens up the possibilities of quality champions that you can use and have success. So definitely recommend that if you have the possibility. The affinity friendly part is really nice as well. So anyway, that's what we got for today, guys. Hopefully this was helpful. Again, check the website if you're looking for any speed tunes out there. We have them. That's why the website is there, quite frankly. And of course, you know, you can you'll see the link to this particular tune in the pinned comment description of this video, so you can go check that out. You want to like check this particular team out directly. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. I do appreciate you. Till next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.